Hello, you're invisible now. You're invisible and mute. Oh, no, you're not invisible. Hello?
Hey.
You didn't hear nothing I said, did you?
No.
I said, you're invisible. Oh, no, you're invisible and mute. Oh, you're not invisible. And you just sat there and went, hey. Perfect comedy genius. Let's do this.
I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I am as well.
Like, I still don't really know what I want to say.
It's weird. I'm exactly the same with this one. And I don't know what it is. It's like maybe we're not firm with our why.
Yeah.
Could
I
be.
don't know.
What other subjects can we talk about for hours?
Oh. Getting along with people?
See, we can always just do 20 minutes talking about it. There's no reason why we have to do like a let's just take the pressure off.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down like some really good questions to use to ask yourself to figure it out. And I just don't have any big revelation about it.
No, neither do I. What was my notes? Just do it. Can't think of a way to do it. What do you enjoy doing? Do it. What do you enjoy doing? Do it. There you go. You found your why.
Yeah.
Found your purpose. You don't have to know.
Okay, how about this? Let's try this. How about I ask you the questions I came up with and you give your answers?
Okay.
Because that'll get you thinking.
So, okay, as the start of the podcast, because I normally start it by asking you a question.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can ask me how I felt in my life when I didn't know my purpose. Because I actually came up with something for that.
Well, I could go back to that, but what I'm thinking is we could start the podcast simply by you looking up and saying, Stephen, you seem to have found your purpose. How did you find yours?
Okay.
And then that leads you into asking me questions for 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 questions.
We got 8 questions.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Hold them up.
Oh, and I have that thing, that little exercise too.
Yeah, see, we could end with that,
Mm-hmm.
which would be really good. And especially if you could draw one out that we can scan in.
Yeah.
Or we could just take a photo of that. Can I just go sleep?
Me too.
The podcast will resume when we wake up. I found a poem. Come on, come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, it does not matter if you've broken your vow 1,000 times. Still come and yet come again. I like that. Very, very zen. Doesn't matter how many times you fuck up. come back, take your seat, and try again.
Oh, I need to shut my phone.
Christian, 3 strikes and you're out. And then you got to come and pay the priest. He can bless you. And I love the Old Testament. No sinning. You got to be absolute. This is the way you got to live. And then the church got skint about 300, 400 years later. So they had to rewrite the second Bible, second half, the King James, and said, well, you can sin, but you just got to come in and say sorry.
Mm.
Then you can come back to church and pay us loads of money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love religion. It's just hilariously funny. Right. Yeah, you were going to ask me a question. This is recording, so.
All right. So, Stephen, tell me, how did you find your purpose?
That's so serious when you ask that. That's okay. We can cut this bit. So, Stephen, I feel like crap. I'm just in one of those meetings. Right. Seriously.
I am too. It's okay.
How did I find my purpose? It's funny, actually, because for so long, I spent time searching for it.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the first half of my life, I had no idea on purpose. And it was found almost by accident. But probably even after breaking my neck and having that scare of almost dying and spending time in intensive care, I didn't find my purpose then. I just wanted to be rich and successful and write books and sell millions of copies. I just wanted to be famous. And it wasn't until I hit my rock bottom at 40 that everything changed. And suddenly, like, I just started doing the things I enjoyed doing.
Mm-hmm.
I started saying, stuff it, I'm going to live my life my way and then do the things I enjoy doing. And the more I'd done the things I enjoyed doing, the more I started enjoying my life, the more joy I got out of what I was doing.
Yeah.
The more I learned how to do what I was doing, because I had no idea what I was doing. I was still winging it now. But suddenly the purpose almost came by itself. And then there was, people started asking me, well, what's your why? And I didn't really realize I had a specific why,
Mm-hmm.
but I did. And it almost come by accident. And it was purely because I'd suffered so much in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paralyzed. I've got hassle with carers. I got all the other things that go with being paralyzed. Not walking is the small part of it. That's what everybody sees.
Yeah.
It's all the other things that go with it, the health-wise, the not being able to control your temperature, the autonomic dysreflexia, which I can have the attack at any moment and it's quite life-threatening. Needs to be dealt with very quickly. All those kind of things are worrying, they're stressful. But life still throws everything at you just as normal. It doesn't go, oh, he's paralyzed. We won't give him any more crap.
Right. I used to ask myself that all the time. Like, I've already been through so much. Why do I need to go through more?
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
I know it would be nice if the universe had like these little pots of joy and happiness and misery. And once your misery pot was all given out to you, there was no more.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I'll be fair, right? I've had my fair share. I've had it by the time I'm 20. The rest of my life, I'm just coming out of the joy pot. But yeah, so my why was purely because I found my inner peace. I found ways that I can take a deep breath and tools, and I didn't have to suffer even in my position.
Yeah.
Even going bankrupt, even doing all those other things. I've now learned that I don't need to suffer. So when someone did ask me my why several times, I was like, I don't really know. And then suddenly it hit me one day, well, I don't like seeing other people suffer.
Yeah.
And more importantly, so many of us are suffering unnecessarily.
Yeah, definitely.
We're stressed, we're worried, we're tired. And all of those things can be dealt with. and we're sticking sticky plasters over it all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that was my why. I don't like seeing others suffer. So
Yeah.
that drives me every single day. How can I alleviate the unnecessary suffering of others?
Yeah.
God, it makes me sound like a saint.
I feel like, okay, over the last couple of days, I've been thinking about this a lot. And I feel like my why is kind of torn between wanting to help people and help them avoid going through things I've been through, like learn from me, and just kind of connecting with people, making real connections.
Yeah. Yeah, real connections. That's there's a big difference between I don't know how to explain the difference, so we'll ignore this piece.
No, there is. There is.
There is a big difference. I was just wondering how to link it. Forget that for a minute. Why is this one going so wrong? I can hear an echo on your mic, by the way, slightly.
Oh, no.
It's only very slightly.
Let's see if I can turn this down.
Okay, ask me a couple of questions.
Sure, yeah. Okay. So, what makes you come alive?
What makes me come alive?
What makes you excited to wake up in the morning?
That reminds me of a question I got asked a couple of years ago. And someone said, what gets you out of bed in the morning apart from the need to go pee? I thought that was a brilliant question. What a conversation starter.
Yeah.
What drives me, it's purely when people email me and people get hold of me and say, do you know what? You've made a hell of a difference in my life just by being you and showing up and being there. You make a massive difference in my life. And that's what drives me.
Yeah. Nice.
Suffering sucks. And the fact that we suffer so needlessly, that sucks even more. I don't know of any other stronger way of putting it. But that's what drives me. There is suffering, and there is suffering that does happen, and there's not a lot we can do about it.
Yeah.
But it's all the unnecessary suffering we do to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Just a change of mindset, just a change of, how I react to it or how I respond rather than react.
But I think helping people realize that is a very difficult thing. Like, that's one of those things you can tell someone 100 times, but until it clicks within them for their own reasons, they're not going to get it. Like, it took me forever.
Well, people will only get it when they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
My main mentor, Jimpo, told me one day, every week I would go on the call with him and I'd say, well, I've got this friend and I've been trying to help her and she's not understanding. She's stuck in her head and I want her to move to her heart and all that. And every week he says, Stephen, so what? It's none of your business. They'll get it when they get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, but I just need to help her this bit. I just need to. So there's that. I've got this why on one hand that drives me passionately. And I've got this, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
And so I'm no longer, I do not attach myself to the need to fix an individual.
Yeah.
Nobody's broken. But my thing is, if I put it out there, how I've done it and the tools I found and all the different things, that will, when they're ready, they will use the tools. When they're ready, it will sink in.
Yeah.
And I'm okay to wait for them.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
So
It's difficult to watch.
Yeah.
It really is difficult to witness the self-imploding again and again and again.
It is.
But it isn't until a person suffers enough.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're bumbling along the road and you're standing up and the car's hitting you again and you're standing up and the car's hitting you again,
Oh, yeah.
obviously the car's not hitting you hard enough as a metaphor.
Yeah, I think I can really pinpoint all of my change down to one thing, actually. Probably about 6, 7, 8 years, probably about 8 years ago, I had a cyst on my ovary, and they had to remove the whole thing because it was just like the whole thing. So my estrogen levels plummeted and sent me into this spiral of migraines where I went 28 days straight with a migraine that didn't stop. Then I had like half a day off. And then I got another one for a few weeks. And it kept going like that for a year. And the whole time I was just like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? But then when I got to the end and I started getting better, I realized that it made me feel like I could do anything. It made me feel super strong. And I started looking at my life. And that's what gave me the courage to leave my marriage, which started me on a path of going after all my dreams and working on myself. So, but that was a lot of suffering.
Yeah. And we have to do some of that suffering.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
alive is to suffer.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot be human and have all these different emotions without having both sides of the emotions.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah.
How can desire and lust and enjoyment exist without the other? Because you wouldn't know they exist.
Yeah. Well, one makes you appreciate the other. It's like you don't know how good you feel if you haven't felt bad.
Yeah, they coexist equally.
Yeah.
And we cannot separate them. That's all the pain is trying to separate them. Trying to chop one half off. I don't want all the suffering, but I want all the pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, we only
it doesn't work that way, does it?
No, we only learn to enjoy the pleasure when we spent all the years in the gym. And the gym is the pain. That's the courage. That's the growing. And talking about finding our purpose, and ultimately, I don't like to say finding our purpose because we restrict ourselves to this funnel of, I've got one purpose. I need to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we run around because our lives change so much. We go from the external success to the internal enlightened spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we change what we want, and our purpose during our 20s and our teens is massively different to what it will be later.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to think I had to figure out what was that one thing I was meant to be doing. And I had all these different passions. And I couldn't decide. And then one day I sat down and realized, well, maybe they're all connected somehow. So I tried to figure out what about it was similar and how I could put them all together.
Did I put you off then?
Huh?
Did I put you off then?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I totally blanked out what you said. Yeah, you were putting them all together.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that the way I see it now, your purpose is whatever you want to do at this time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're 18 and you want to go out and party, you want to go out and do all those things, just do it. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's your purpose for the moment. Because the thing is, all of this will build up into a story of your life. And although I teach about holding the story lightly and the story isn't you and all, well, the story does build the muscles. It does build what you're capable of enduring later on.
Yeah.
So instead of looking at purpose as a one life purpose, what if I get to 30 and I haven't started my life purpose? What if I get to 50? What if I get to 70 years old and I find out I'm going to die in a couple of days and I did not find my purpose? Well, quite frankly, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
You have one life. You've won this lottery of something like 32 trillion to one, and you ended up a human that is in the right time that we're capable of talking about purpose, and yet you didn't deliver on yours. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
However, if you find your why,
Mm-hmm.
and then your why, what you're actually doing, what you enjoy doing, and your purpose, they will change. But the why will fundamentally drive you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, and I serve people by helping them different now than I did 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Different now than I did 20 years ago. Because as much as I was an arrogant a-hole at 20 and 25 and 30, and I still am now. So there's for any listeners that know me thinks, yeah, I'm going to call you out on your shit, Stevie. But I'm less of one. I'd like to think I'm less of one. But meanwhile, I still served my why back then, but in the only way I knew how.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm doing that today, and it'll be different in 10 years' time.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be deeper, more meaningful. So how do you serve your why at the moment?
Me, right now, doing the podcast, with my inspiration page where I just like put up art and quotes and music and things. And the biggest one I think is probably my music. Like, I feel like my songs all have lessons in them. Even when I try not to, they still end up that way. So I think that's a really big platform for me.
What was your last song called? Get Off the Train.
Jump off the train.
Jump off the train. The last song you sung was, or the last song you wrote was Jump Off the Train. What's the message in that one then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm working on another one right now, but
So what's the message in Jump Off the Train?
the message in Jump Off the Train is it's really about not holding attachments to a person who's not really in it. Like,
So this
hey, if
won't fit
you're
in the
not in it,
Purpose podcast
just
then.
get out of here.
Okay, so this won't fit nicely into the Purpose podcast.
No, not really.
That's all right.
But my
I
purpose
didn't
is
know whether it
like
would.
sharing my self growth with people. So
Yeah, I was just thinking you got to the point of doing that, and then I was thinking about introducing them to that song, but then it's a different kind of. That'd be a good attachment
yeah,
podcast to do.
this song was a lot different than the other ones I've written.
What did you remind me of when you were talking then? While you were saying that, you made me think of like the most important,
Oh, it'll
and
come.
that is how we live,
Yeah.
and the why of how we teach and it's how we live, as in giving other people the sense to be themselves, to open
Mhm.
themselves up in a heart-centered way,
Yeah.
and we show them by the way we live and what we do.
Yeah. By example. Exactly.
And I know Bella is your big why.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So how does Bella influence your life, influence your purpose and your why?
She motivates me. She drives me to never give up. Um, I want to be the best person I can be to teach her how to, by example. And also just like, when things are rough, when things are hard, I know I can't give up because of her. And I keep going and I keep going. Like, I don't know where I'd be without her.
I got pigeons on my roof. What other questions have you got there? I'm just going to look through my
Oh,
notes a
okay.
minute
Let's
to
see.
come back at you.
Okay, here's a weird one. This is okay. Let's say you're on your deathbed and you're looking back on your life. How will you measure your life and whether you feel it was successful?
long pause. Do you know what? With me, it comes down to how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and let's put it down to every day. This may not be answering your question, but if I go to bed at night and I put my head down on my pillow and I
Mm-hmm.
feel good, I feel congruent, I feel my body, heart, and mind, soul is all in a line, then I've had a successful day.
Nice.
So I guess really at the end of my life, and I'm ready for it, but don't want it yet, very much. Not frightened of dying. I'm just a bit concerned about how it happens. It would have to be, can I just put my head down and go, do you know what? I did my best.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And I always say, and I always go back to this. Someone asked me, such a long time ago, what would I have written on my gravestone? And I've always said the same thing. I couldn't love any more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just a great metaphor for life.
Yeah, I
No
like
matter
that.
what you do, just love as much as you possibly can.
I
Be
like
as
that.
open-hearted. And that's not in a sense of being trampled on or being a doormat, but in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of just open your heart so much that, you know, the narcissist will drown in it as opposed to damage it.
Right.
The people that will beat you down, the life tough lessons don't stand a chance in the huge heart. And that's through compassion and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get to the end of my life and I've learned to understand others, learn to forgive, then I'm good with that. And in return, it will help my daughter to live that way too.
Yeah.
Because if it makes me feel good on a moment to moment daily basis, that's what we all want, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one wants this happiness and bliss forever after because we'll fear losing it.
Yeah,
We
that's
just
true.
want to feel joy in every moment. Bit deep.
It's like these questions seem almost silly because it's like you already kind of have it figured out. All my questions are like to help someone who hasn't put any thought into it. When you ask them, "Oh, what are you passionate about?" They're like, "I don't know."
But don't ask them to me. Ask them in the way of, so what would you say to someone that hasn't really?
Yeah.
Or I could say that to you. So what's the question?
So like I think something that'll really help you figure that out is to look at what in your life do you do that you would never give up. Um, you love it so much, you do it
Okay.
freely, you do it when you're busy, you always do it.
Where's my sleeve of that?
That's where like that little exercise comes in because you can figure out all the things that you love to do, all the things that you're passionate about, all the things you value that are important to you, and you can kind of try to see where they're connected.
Right. If we wrap this up, but the way I'm thinking is if we talk about, or you ask the question, or right, I'm going to ask you the question, and you
Okay.
bring in about the circle and things like that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to end it with the one bombshell question that we should all ask.
Okay.
And the one bombshell question that we should all ask, and I think it has to be asked at the end, I think it has to be left with them.
Okay.
And that is, what would you be willing to die doing?
Oh yeah.
And when you find that out, what would you're going to die in, and I wouldn't elaborate on the question, but you're going to die in 2 minutes. What would you still do? And if a person was sat opposite me suffering, I would still give them advice. And
Yeah.
I would still help them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick up a KFC.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a morbid but incredibly
No, that's
powerful
good because
question.
I was trying to think of what my answer would be. I've never thought about that before. And I think my answer would be to spend that 2 minutes with someone that I cared about. And like I keep going back to connections with people being what drives me.
And when you find that why, and that is your purpose, that is there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, I reckon 6 months' time or 3 months' time when we're doing this podcast, and we actually get used to recording it like we're talking now, as
Yeah.
opposed to going into podcast mode, because we both do it, don't we?
Yeah.
I reckon they're going to be awesome. Just don't. No, I won't say what I was going to say. Right, I'm going to ask you a question, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So, what advice have you got in podcast mode? What advice have you got for people that want a purpose, want to find their why, and have no idea even where to start?
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I would recommend doing a little exercise. It's kind of like a brainstorming exercise. You draw a circle on a piece of paper,
Right.
and around the outside, you write all of the things that you're passionate about, that you love, that you value, that are important to you, that you're good at, all that stuff. Like mine has music, playing music, songwriting, dance, art, learning, meditation, self growth, teaching, technology, crafting, graphic and web design, nature, making a positive impact, relationships, love, truth, and helping people. And then what I did was made like a kind of a spider web where I connected lines between things that were related to each other or connected. And then you go around and look at, okay, which things have the most connections? And for me, it was by far self growth. And then like truth, helping people, learning. So, it kind of makes sense that I feel like I can help people by teaching them from my lessons because that's what all those things are.
So, for the people that sponsor us on Patreon,
Mm-hmm.
shameless plug here, head over to Patreon, pay $1 per month, and you can really help us build this podcast.
Oh, yes.
For the people on there, Susan's going to hold it up on the screen because you can see the video of us recording the podcast. So you can see our facial expressions.
Yes.
Not sure
Our
you want to do
Patreon
it.
members get the behind the scenes video.
Yeah, but you can see on the screen. Then basically what Susan's showing me for the podcast users is a circle with loads of lines connecting all different things. The thing is, this is such an individual thing to do.
Had it upside down.
That's fine.
Not that it matters. It's a circle.
No, half of them's always upside down, I think.
Now, I think I want to say Kai taught me that exercise.
Oh, the Secret Mermaid.
Yes, the Secret Mermaid.
We'll put a link to her Facebook page underneath. I love Kai. She's so awesome.
She is.
I get her name wrong all the time. Kyanne. So shout out to Kyanne.
Yes.
Yeah, mind blank for a moment. And also they can download a template. You can do a quick template, can you?
Sure, I can make something.
Yeah, just the PDF download boxes away around and
yeah, I'll put that up on Patreon.
Yeah. And you can download a template on Patreon just below this podcast, and it'll help you get going. And ultimately, that will help you in the direction of finding your purpose and finding your why. And it's the current purpose.
Yes.
Please don't settle on, right, that's my purpose and spend my whole life and get so attached to that has to be your purpose, because it will change.
Oh, yes, it will evolve.
Everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest heartache in the world is not wanting anything to change. So if we don't want our purpose to change, if we don't want any of those things.
Yeah.
So going a little deeper, just before we end this podcast, I want to ask one question.
Okay.
And ultimately, when we really, really dig deep, it comes down to one question. What are you willing to die doing?
You want me to answer?
You can. Not sure it'll go in, but you can. Just let me elaborate on it just one moment. So it comes down to one question.
Mm-hmm.
What are you willing to die doing? You have 2 minutes left of your life. What would you still enjoy doing in that moment?
Yeah.
And for me, I would still give someone advice. I'd still try to help alleviate their pain.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I have kind of two different answers, but they're kind of the same. Like, I would die for my daughter, to help her, to save her, whatever. But if I look at it like I have 2 minutes and I know all I have is 2 minutes, I honestly would want to spend that time just holding someone I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I really think my why is connection.
But you'd be holding someone that's part of your why.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm sure you'd still give them advice.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't just sit there and say nothing. I'd be like, make sure you do this, make sure you do this, make sure you do this.
Yeah, this will probably go into it. I said about it yesterday, but I'm going to say about it again to make it easier.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Jade Venable. She's done the Healthy Mummy Movement.
Mm-hmm.
.com. You can sign up to that, and she's got 21 experts, which I'm one of them. She wrote her child, about 2 years old, become very poorly,
Mm-hmm.
and he had autoimmune disease. He went to the doctors, he went to several doctors, and they all giving him tablets, all giving him other things. And in the end, she studied what he should eat, what he shouldn't eat, tried different things, and they came up with a plan of action, exactly what he should eat, what he should be doing on a daily basis. And that was great for the mum while she was there and all. But she done the most difficult thing. And she sat down and wrote down the full instructions for him if anything ever happens to her.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we don't like that because we don't like the fact that we're not impermanent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like to think about that.
We don't like the fact that we're not permanent.
Mm-hmm.
But we are impermanent. We are going to go one day. But to face that and to do it with joy, knowing that you're going to leave the legacy, you're going to leave them with the instructions. That's your purpose. That's your why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've always wanted to write a song for Bella, like for after I die. But like, I just like every time I sit down to do it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to do this.
I'm looking for a quote. Oh, this is an even better one. I didn't know this quote, but I love it. I haven't even read all the quote. I just read the first 3 words and I thought, yeah. Martin Luther King. If a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live.
Oh.
I don't know if I'll put that in the podcast, but I love it. I love it.
That's pretty intense.
Well,
how about the reverse of that? How about finding what you want to live for.
You never truly live until you find out what you're willing to die for. That wasn't a quote, but I'm looking for the the one by Gandhi. Do you know the one?
Not just from that. He's got a few.
Okay, this doesn't make it in, but it was the one thing he said to the British Empire after he marched right across the country. Well, he didn't march. He said, "I'm going to walk from one side of India to the other, from one beach to the other, and I would do it alone. And I just want to prove a point that we have salt all over India, that but the British Empire are holding us to ransom."
Yeah.
And it's why he put salt in his tea when the British consulate invited him around to the British embassy, and he walked in there and they offered him, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And they said, "Would you like sugar?" And he gets out a little pat and goes, "No, I put salt in it because the tea would be very bitter."
Yeah.
And so he wanted to reflect that. But he, in the end, he looked up and said in a speech after all that, and after he was invited to the thing, he looked up and said, "I am prepared to die, but there is no cause for which I am prepared to kill."
Ooh, yeah.
And just that line alone, that took all the power away. Because at the time, the British people would lock people up and they would hang them and kill them. It would be treason.
Yeah.
You go against the trade of the British Empire, it was treason.
Yeah.
Well, he was willing to die for that treason. Awkward. Because if they're willing to die for it, and it's exactly the same as somebody said yesterday, I watched a video about Trump and about him being, is he a cult and things like that? Well, yeah, he kind of is. But the worst thing for any cult is for the head to die a martyr.
Oh, yeah.
It's the most powerful thing they can have. So if they take him out by this impeachment and things like that, it's the worst possible empowerment they'll give him. Because there'll be more mistrust in government than ever before if they take him out, even if it's all on truth.
Yeah.
Even if he's guilty. So I just wanted to, I don't know why I want to talk about that. See, we could make our blog a little bit political sometimes, couldn't we?
We could what?
Make it a little bit political sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just not too much, Susan. I'm not sure if we ended it or not. I've probably got enough to end it.
Probably.
But I can't use that quote because it doesn't really work.
Oh, we have that. I have a quote from Nietzsche. He who has a lie can endure anyhow.
By Nietzsche Fredericks.
Yep. So basically, like, if you know what your why is, you can get through anything, which is like where my Bella why comes in.
And he's been through a lot. The concentration camp.
I could be sick and miserable, and I will get up and drive her to school because she needs to go to school.
Yeah. And you think about him in the concentration camp.
Yeah.
What he went through. What he went through was incredible. And for him to realize that. And yeah, it's true. If you have your why, you will endure anything.
Yep. Oh, yep. Which is important because there's always going to be suffering.
To live is to suffer. The first noble truth of Buddhism. And you don't have to be a Buddhist to be aware of the suffering.
Yeah.
The second noble truth is the suffering is through attachment.
Ooh.
And that attachment to purpose, I've got one purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if the listeners go away with anything today, I think the most important thing about searching for purpose is not to search for the one purpose you have, because you haven't got one. Dig deeper and go for your why.
Yes, exactly.
Because you don't need a purpose then. You don't need a motivation then. The why is everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to put a link underneath the video. There's a few links to put now. And I'm going to put a link underneath the video to a YouTube video where a comedian asked a guy in the audience to sing a song. And he sings a song, an incredible voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy asked him to sing, asked him to explain the song and why he chose that song. And he asked him to sing it again. And I won't say anything more than that, but you've got to watch the video. It's about 5 minutes long. It's incredible.
Awesome. Sounds good.
I'm just thinking we could actually do the sound of it on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. You could add a clip from it.
Yeah. I want you to listen to we're going to play this clip now about what it's like to find your why. And this is a clip on YouTube that you can look it up. It's by, I'm going to have to find out who it's by, aren't I? You've never seen it?
I think you are going to need an extra day for this one because this one's going to have to be pieced together.
It is going to have to be so pieced together.
I don't want you to feel rushed.
I don't mind the long pauses in it.
We had a little bit of good stuff when we talked the other day too.
Yeah, I'm going to use that as well. He's a comedian. Oh, so I can always add this in. I forget that I can just record it quickly. Michael Jr. Yeah, I'll just record that in because the sound's quite bad, so I might see how it is. So we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
I think we've already wrapped up the purpose, haven't we?
Yeah, let's invite everyone to check out all of our things.
Yeah, that's what we got to do.
Yes, and
go on.
Ask them to come support us on Patreon.
Yeah, support on Patreon. You can do that.
Okay, so if you liked what you heard today, check out our Facebook page. We put announcements up there when we have things new out. Subscribe to our iTunes and head to our Patreon site. You can get to that at www.flipitandrebuildit. And we have a lot of different things you can do to help support us. And there's special things there, like our behind the scenes video.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And we want to start doing Q&As. So head over to Patreon and send us your questions.
I like seeing you suffering. They're thinking overtime. When you say the website, don't say www.
What?
Don't say www.
Oh, yeah. Flipitandrebuildit.com.
Perfect. I will use that. Just say head over to flipitandrebuildit.com.
Head on over to flipitandrebuildit.com.
I can get that up later on. It only take about 2 hours to do it.
I got to figure out how to get rid of this echo because it's...
What was I going to do? There was something else I was going to ask right at the end. And about... It's hard to think where you got to and then I carry on. The one thing that you could help more than anything else at the moment is leave a review for us. If you listen to this on iTunes, leave a review below. Give us as many stars you think we deserve and be honest about a review. You know, if there's somewhere we can improve, tell us. And if there's somewhere where we're just absolutely exceptionally amazing, tell us.
We want to hear it all.
We do. But until then, ask your question. What are you willing to die for? I don't know if that'll end it, but...
No, that sounded good. I liked that.
And I think we'll start it as well. The actual very first line, like the music will come in and go, so what are you willing to die for? And then come into the thing.
Okay.
The intro, what are we going to do with that? Because I think this is the last one we're going to do with that intro. But I'm tempted to see if I can chop the intro a little bit. Because it's like almost 2 minutes.
Yeah, it needs to be really quick.
I've listened to a couple of other podcasts and yeah.
Okay, let's plan to redo that next time we record. And I'll look at mine and...
Yeah, I'll look at mine as well. But yeah, don't procrastinate on it too much. I'm going to drop you this link to this video. It's just brilliant. Oh, I've got to go back on Facebook. No, I won't. I'll drop it here. There's the video. It's only 3 minutes, but it's incredible. And I might message him and say I've included him. The Michael Jr., not the Scott Habib.
If all else fails, we can just post the link to it on Patreon. We can actually embed YouTube videos into Patreon.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to put it on there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put up the website. It's literally going to be the feed. I'll just use the logo and do nice graphics because I want...
Okay.
We don't need anything more than the logo graphics, do we?
Not really.
Because clean as anything. And the link to Facebook and the link to your page and my page. Can you get your website up and running? Because I really feel bad never promoting your home website.
Well, it doesn't... My Inspiration Space website, like, never really had much on it anyway. Like, it kind of needs to be...
Can we send them to you? What website can we do for you where they... Because I've got the stingweb.com. It's easy.
Yeah.
What websites have you got? What can we build a blog? What can we do?
I have like websites. None of them are working right now, but I have like a Teach with Tech Tools. I have Creative Evolution, but they're not really related.
How much is your
hosting? The only thing I really have for this is my Facebook page.
Do you want to throw them on my VPS for now?
Do what?
Do you want to throw your websites on my VPS for now?
Well, they have to be completely rebuilt.
A homepage, just a placeholder, just a link to your Facebook and things like that.
Well, I can do that.
Just like a one page. Just like a one page. Hey, I'm rebuilding my website. I've run out of cement. I love things like that.
I'm a little low on bricks right now, but
yeah, I'm rebuilding my little low on bricks, and I could do with some new cement. Otherwise, contact me on Facebook.
Okay.
Do you know what? These emails, I am so happy in one way, but uncomfortable because so many people from today are not going to get emails from places where they want to receive emails from, and didn't realize they had to click on them to get in. And people like Anik, that's built up 200,000-300,000 email lists. They always sold it on the basis that no one can take away their email list.
Right, yeah.
No one, build your email list, build your email list. If Facebook closes down, if YouTube closes down, well, the EU has just killed their email list.
I mean, like, I've been getting, my inbox is full of emails from different
GDPR
places.
shit.
I'm not going to go through and look at them.
Well, I found some privacy notices that are just quite funny, and I'm going to write my privacy notice in the same thing.
Cool.
I'm going to really write it and say, look, basically, this is a bit of fun. I want you to read the privacy notice. I want you to understand what it's all about. But this is for entertainment purposes, and it's no less serious than a legal document.
Yeah.
And then say, look, I use Google Analytics to stalk you, to see where you're looking, what pages you're on.
Yeah.
And I do this because I want to know what you like on my website.
Yeah.
So really, I'm going to write it like that and just keep it really simple.
I really didn't pay attention to all that because I thought it was only like Europe.
No, you have to basically turn your server off to any traffic in Europe. If you cannot have anybody opt into your thing, but don't panic. What? Yeah, lots of people are panicking over nothing. Simple fact, I always told my email people that logged in that subscribed what they were subscribing to. So I don't need to panic. The only thing I do need to add is a right to forget and a way I can bundle everything I have on them.
Yeah.
But the EU don't give a toss about me. Me and my email list.
Yeah.
They care about what Facebook are doing. They care about what Google are doing. And this is why the laws are there.
Yeah.
You know, if it was about us, they would say it's $1,000 fine if you breach it. But they've done the fine in the basis of it's 10% of your annual revenue. And they've done that deliberately because they wanted the big boys to be penalized.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't make any revenue off of any of this stuff I do, so.
So your fine would be 10% of what you earned this year. And it's the 10% of what you earned from that data.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big, massive thing. Right, I'm going to go because I got to sit in a Zoom room with the Inner Peace Academy. Are you going to join me in 4 o'clock?
Probably, sure, yeah.
I don't know if anybody else will. That's the
Okay.
every Friday I'm going to do a Zoom.
Oh, all that. Yeah. Okay. What time?
3/4 an hour. I don't think anybody's going to turn up.
45 minutes.
45 minutes. So it might be Cheryl, might be a couple of others.
Okay.
But I want to encourage some of the members that don't do this kind of thing to come on camera to.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good idea.
Otherwise, they hide behind the Facebook comments, and
I'm gonna unplug this mic. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good.
So yeah, 3/4 an hour.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Listen.